show up every Sunday. And she was always helping people, people, all kinds of people, and I think I got that from her.
And I know one of the things you really are passionate about is helping young people, specifically using bodybuilding to help young people, especially people from troubled backgrounds and those kind of things. So what piece of advice would you give one of the guys who comes to your gym or gals that come to your gym who from a rough background, who they just say, I want to be successful like you? What piece of advice would you give them? Train with you, why?
Well, I have experience that you can't learn in a local gym. You can't learn on the internet. You can't. I mean, I trained next to Arnold Schwarzenegger. Lou Ferrigno was at my wedding. These guys were like the same kind of guys I train with every day at our gym. And that's who I learned from. That's information you don't find anywhere. I was there for 25 years.
Who's the most innovative person that you've ever met and why?
Probably my dad. We grew up in a poor time. And he worked 2 jobs to take care of 8 of us. I guess I'd pick him because I got 3, and that's pretty difficult. If he were here today, that'd be the first thing I asked him.
What are the 3 books you think everybody should read?
Never read too many books.
You have 2?
I do recommend seeing Rocky.
How about Arnold's Encyclopedia of Bodybuilding? How about Arnold?
By the way, this
I
is
watch Pumping Iron.
the first time I've ever been at an entrepreneur event where someone said, hey, the one book everyone should read, watch Rocky. That's amazing. Why? Why should everyone see Rocky?
That's my life. It was a 1,000,001 show.
Awesome.
To watch the movie every week and day to hard times.
When you think about Utica 5-10 years from now, what's one area you think that this community should focus on? What's one thing we need in this community?
She's smarter than I am.
She's 12.
No, she's not 12.
Visionaries. We need visionaries.
How so?
Find
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
People who can see potential and look past the present.
That's awesome.
Yeah, she's right on.
That's awesome. In just a second, we're going to open up. I want you, if you have a question for Bob, it could be about how he built his business. It could be about his bodybuilding. It could be like how to get better lats. I don't care. If you have a question for Bob, we're going to go with this.
Wait, there's more in this visionary stuff.
Oh,
I have that because I've seen it. I've seen opportunities in property in Utica. It was cheap, so I bought a lot of it. In California, I saw a lot of change with my own eyes. I've seen deserts turn to cities. I've seen slums turn to vibrant cities where yuppies were buying Starbucks when a year before there were gangbangers shooting people. And it can happen here. It's not that difficult. My wife and I ended up living in a little town called Monrovia, which wasn't a really great town. It was okay. Next door to it was Doherty, and I don't know if any of you ever heard that name, but it was a famous football player. He got drafted out of college. He was the #1 pick, and he got shot right before he got drafted. And that was Doherty. Well, Monrovia did a turnaround, and I kind of saw it happen, and now it's like one of America's greatest cities. What do they call it?
Yeah.
Buffalo.
yeah, yeah.
American city.
All American.
All American City.
All American
Yep.
city. But there was a time when you could roll a bowling ball down our main street, which was Myrtle Ave, not me, but and all of a sudden they put in a movie theater. And next door to the movie theater was a Starbucks, and then there was a Green Tea and Leave. And before you knew it, there were chain restaurants, and this place is the bomb now. Now there's it's so overpopulated, I don't like it anymore. What it was once a town that they used to call Mayberry because really there was a bunch of people from the East Coast that World War II veterans that shacked up in Monrovia. They really didn't, just kind of hung out. They're older people. It turned into this really great town that we lived in for a while, and it was something to see. And we've seen that more than once.
So I want to encourage you to try something. I'm going to challenge all of you to try something. I'm a runner, And so I run every new city I ever go to, I run in, and it's the best way to see a city. I can tell you right now, it is the best way to see a city because you get to see things you wouldn't see from a car or a bus or other things. And I want to challenge each one of you to do something that my wife and I did today. Just walk through Utica. Just take 2 miles, take an hour, and walk, pick a direction, and walk it. I promise you it'll change the way that you view this city. I said to her, I go, I wonder how many people here have walked through these neighborhoods. Just community leaders, people who are passionate about the future of this town, have walked through these neighborhoods and looked around and went, is there something we can do to change this? Is there something that we can do to actually bring hope again to people? Is there something that we can do that we don't have to live, whatever, I mean, there's some awesome neighborhoods here. There's some, it's like any city, right? There's good neighborhoods, there's bad neighborhoods. There's places where people want to live, there's places people don't want to live. I would challenge you in the next month to just pick a direction and walk a mile. And ask yourself, what can happen here? What if you became the visionary and you could do something differently? And you may not even know what that is. It doesn't matter. There's plenty of people, there are people in this room who can help you do something different. But take what Bob said about being a visionary.
Well, here's something to think about. When Alice and I came back, we didn't know what we were going to do next. And we ended up buying 13 city properties, abandoned properties, big buildings, and turn them into apartment buildings. And what we did that made it work was we bought them all in a row where we could control the block. And we've been pretty successful with it.
That's awesome. All right, who has some questions for Bob? Anyone? Come on, I know somebody's got a question.
It's about Rocky building.
Who, what?
Who was John Devereaux?
Who was John Devereaux? I don't know.
John Devereaux that lived in Utica?
Yeah, the Devereaux Tavern,
Utica's first mayor?
was it?
I think so. Wait, but why is that for him?
I walked here tonight, I'm wearing I walked by the John Devereaux Tavern on Devereaux Street. And where's John Devereaux?
I think you have to answer that one.
I want a different direction. That's one for me. Right down here.
Are you worried about somebody else having your same dream, just gobbling up the market?
Great question.
And-
Didn't you worry about somebody else having your dream and gobbling up the
In your
market?
business.
In your
Clothing
Clothing
business?
clothing business?
There
Well,
were others.
Several did. In fact, one company got involved, by the name Under Armour. They did what we did, only we did it 20 years ago. And they had a lot of horsepower behind them, a lot of money behind them, a lot of great athletes behind them, and now they're probably Nike's biggest competition.
Somebody else. I mean, the guy built a multi-million-dollar clothing empire. You got a question? Yeah.
You weren't the one that did the wraparound pants, are you? Remember the wraparound pants?
We did make those, not,
Because I almost recognized that logo. They were the only pants my husband could fit.
Yeah, I didn't invent that, but we made them special order for international now.
Okay. Because I think that's where we found
They
them.
Velcroed like that?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah, we made those.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you have inventions and patents?
Oh, yeah. Next question. Did you have any inventions or patents?
Our logos are registered trademark. You can't really pattern a clothing style because I probably didn't invent anything. They've been making clothes long before I can remember. And our thing was clothing for the well-built. You know, all of our shoulders were wider, our waists were smaller, all of our bodies were tapered, and that's what made it work. When you get a bodybuilder that working his tail off to look good, and then he puts on a shirt like I'm wearing today, and you look like a refrigerator. And we kind of wanted to show off our hard work, and that's what our clothes did.
But you couldn't patent it, right? The clothing? You could
No.
not patent the clothing?
No.
I don't know of a clothing patent. I'm sure Nike probably could. I couldn't.
Okay.
It's tough enough to register my logo.
Somebody else? Yes.
Bob, you've been back quite a few years now. Tell us about how different your life is and what you think about your life now compared to back in Monroe.
Oh.
Well, Alice and I was out in California for 25 years. It was very fast paced. You know, it was kind of like a blur. You know, 25 years later, I feel like it was like a fire drill. You think you're going to go to California and relax and enjoy the sun, and really have a great time there. Not that we didn't, but it was a lot of hard work. You know, it was trying to raise 3 kids in California and the cost of it. And you gotta go pretty hard there. Since I've been back, you know, I really came back to retire, but it didn't work out that way. You know, I still work more than most, but for me to work a 40-hour day would be like a vacation. You know, coming from California and working an 80-hour week. I'm sorry, week, not day.
Awesome. Yeah.
There's a lot of decisions that have to be made when you're doing your own business. What is your strategy for when you're in a situation you have to make a decision or you're overwhelmed?
Oh, good question. So when you start a business, there's a lot of strategy that goes into those things. What is your strategy for when you have to make a tough decision in business?
Well, you kind of weigh the odds on both. You know, I was taught a long time ago by a guy who's smarter than me. You split the paper in half and you draw a line right down the center of the page. And you put one and the other on each side and kind of weigh the goods and the bads against each other. You know, that was one way I made an important decision. A lot of stuff's out of your control. The hard part is doing something that's on you and doing it wrong. You know, I'm not good at that. I beat myself up for that kind of stuff. When the government changed and Bill Clinton decided to put a bunch of money in his pocket and screw everybody manufacturing in America, you know, that was a decision that was out of my control. And you had to live with it, but it was a lot easier to deal with. The decisions you make that are wrong and you made them, you know, those are the ones that are very tough for me. You know, I made my share.
No, this is a great point because so many entrepreneurs, so many people who want to be entrepreneurs think that they're just going to make these decisions, everything's cool, but you're going to make bad decisions when you're an entrepreneur.
Every day.
Every day. Every day.
So, sort of going off of that, how much of, you know, the story of your business do you feel like was out of your control? And how did you either account for that or, you know, incorporate that into your success?
So how much of your business was out of your control and how did you account for that?
What business?
The clothing line.
I mean, whichever one you want to focus on.
Well, a lot of things are out of your control. Like right now, we're in the housing business, and you know, National Grid takes 1/3 of our money every month. You know, and there's not a whole lot you can do about it. You got to pay your electric bill, you got to pay your gas bill. You know, it's costs that you have to incur, and you know, sometimes it can put you out of business because you don't have enough capital, or you know, you're running thin, or simply because you know, your costs are too high. You know, and it happens all the time. Like with Body Alive, you know, there was a time when we were shipping $2.5 million worth of clothes out every year, which was a big volume and things were good. But when you know the next year you're only shipping $2 million out and you still got the same staff and the same payroll and the same rent and the same expenses, well, it takes a chunk of your profit. So it's not a guessing game; it's an educated guess game. But you kind of have to know what you're in for before you get started. You know, there's always, you know, like when I was sewing clothes, there was sewing cost, and I would pay my employees by the hour, and you know, some of them didn't make the quota, and you know, they got more money by hour than they did production, and I changed the piece rate. Well, they got paid for what they did. And my production tripled, and nobody took a lunch, nobody took a break, and they all made a hell of a lot more money that way. So it's always a give and take.
All right, one more question. We'll get two more, and then we'll do it. Let's go back here first.
Yeah, so you mentioned having very few properties in the 84 units, and also just flipping. Are a lot of those properties, are they like in this area, or are they in California? And also, like, focus more on like buying and owning, or maybe more?
So the properties that you flipped, tell me if I'm right, properties that you flipped, were those mostly here or in California? And what was the second part?
And just what's their focus been more? Is it like on flipping, or is it more on owning?
Oh, so is your focus now more on flipping or owning?
Now, since we've been in Utica, we bought and rented. I haven't done any flips here. I think the market's ripe for that now because now we have buyers. It kind of scared me before because real estate was stagnant. My wife's a licensed realtor in California and Utica, or New York. And, California, your expenses are higher, but your holding power, meaning how long you had to hold it before you sold it, and you're usually selling it before you're finished with it. So that there wasn't a whole lot of holding cost. Utica kind of scared me because of the taxes and the holding cost, and, like when we sold our castle, it took us over a year to sell it. And you gotta hold that mortgage and hold them taxes for that whole year, and it takes a lot out of your profit.
All right, one last question.
Having been involved in so many different businesses over the years and really defining kind of a hustler mentality, would you be able to point to any couple variables that led to success across all different kinds of things? Is there anything that you can say is just one important quality that can apply to anything you want to do?
Well, that's a good question. Is there one important quality or two that you would say allowed you to be successful and be a hustler?
I always got by on my effort. And a lot of people think they have effort, and you have to follow that by action. Without them two combinations, you got nothing. Everybody wants to get rich, and everybody thinks they're working their ass off, so to speak, and 99% of them aren't. It's that 1% that never quits, and that 1%, 99 people fail because they give up too easy, or they don't put the work in. I worked 15-hour days when I had Body Life, and not 5 days a week, 6 and 7 days a week sometimes. And you do what you have to do to fill the orders. And you come in a Christmas season or a first of the year season, and you're busy. You got to make it while you can, and you take your breaks when you're slow, at different times of the year. But I guess my point is you have to want it bad enough to do the work. And if you're gonna own your own business, you better want it bad enough to do the work. It's all about work ethic. And I thank the gym every day of my life because that's what gave me my work ethic. Being a bodybuilder, you didn't just go to the gym, once a week or twice a week or 5 times a week. You had to eat right. You had to train hard. It was a process, and it required discipline. It required resilient tenacity in the gym, and that's kind of what I reward my success to. It was that hard work in the gym that I brought into my life that made me a successful person. And it is hard, but it's doable. You just gotta want it that way.
And on that note, thank you so much. You guys give a huge round of applause.